So I received the following question from one of our rabbis in Philadelphia. A fascinating question about a Kohen and Pidyon haben if his child is not a Kohen. How can that be? The Kohen is married to a woman who's a divorcee, whom he's not allowed to be married to, which means that the child is considered a halal. Effectively, does not have any of the laws of Kohen apply to him, cannot do birchas Kohanim, is allowed to come in contact with the dead, and so on. So does he have to do a Pidyon haben in that case, where he's a Kohen, but his child is not? Now here the Gemara actually deals with this case, and sort of in a variation, but it makes clear that the child is considered to be a non-Kohen, and the issue of a child of a Kohen being exempt from Pidyon haben is not about the father, but about the child. So in this case, if the child has the status of Yisrael, there would be an obligation of Pidyon haben. So how do you do Pidyon haben if the father himself is a Kohen? And here the Gemara says that in a way, if Pidyon haben is giving these 5 shekel to a Kohen, well, he can give it to himself. And the Gemara actually suggests that you don't have to do anything. He just, it's as if he gave it to himself, he pockets his money, and no Pidyon is necessary. This seems to weigh very heavily in considering that the fundamental Pidyon is a question of paying a debt. And since you don't have a debt to yourself, you're fine. However, normally we actually think that Pidyon is a type of a ritual act, and it's not just a question of a debt. And therefore, significantly, the Shulchan Aruch rules in this case that you actually do have to do something. You set the money aside, and the act of setting it aside is the ritual act of Pidyon haben. So therefore, the halacha would be as follows. The Kohen would have his son, and there wouldn't be a conversation or exchange with a Kohen, as normally in a Pidyon. And he would take money, and he would say, this money is lepidyon bini, is to be podem my son, zeh tachat zeh. He would do the whole statement that we're exchanging one for the other. And then he would make the bracha, shechianu, yasher kidishanu b'mitzvosav al pidyon haben, and then he would take the money and put it in his pocket. And that would be the halacha. Because what this teaches is that the pidyon is not the act of giving the money to a Kohen. The Pidyon is setting money aside and designating it as a exchange, similar to how we redeem Meiser Sheni. It's not about giving it, it's about transferring the sanctity. And then what do you do with that money? Well, it goes to a Kohen. So it can go to this Kohen himself. If he wants to give it to another Kohen, he may, but this would actually be a fascinating case where a Kohen would redeem his son, because his son is not halachically a Kohen, and would do a ritual act of separating the money, make the bracha, and then pocket the money himself. So a case which probably rarely comes up, but reveals a fascinating understanding of what Pidyon haben actually is.